Hi guys, how you doing? I hope you're well. I have no idea what to say now in these art videos. I don't know whether I should be doing voiceovers or whether I should be talking as I'm going along. I'm not sure what the best thing to do is. I don't know whether I should be talking about random topics or whether I should be talking about what's going on in the video. In this one, I am painting an abstract art piece as a practice to be doing some abstract art pieces on some larger canvases. I went shopping with my mum recently to the range and bought 3 massive canvases and 4 slightly smaller canvases, and I was a bit nervous to go straight into painting on those, so I thought I'd do some paper pieces first. There was a random ad on Instagram that caught my eye for an abstract art course, and the person presenting it is, I think her name's Celia Lees, an abstract artist in Canada, and I really liked the look of her art from the Instagram ad. So I signed up to the course and I watched it all pretty much within a day. I think there was about 2.5 hours worth of content and I just binged it. I wasn't creating art as I went along, but it inspired me, and I wasn't able to start creating with my traditional art straight away because I didn't have time because I was looking after my nephew, but I started creating some digital abstract pieces using some of the techniques that she was showing, or as close to the techniques that I could create using Procreate rather than acrylic paint and stuff. So I did that, and one of the pieces that I created, there were some beautiful colours and I really liked how they looked together. So this piece is inspired by the colours that were in the digital art piece that I did. So I was really happy with the blue that I managed to, it's like a turquoisey blue, like with a bit of that green mixed in. I was so happy with how that turned out. But I thought it was a little bit dark on this piece, so I covered it over with a bunch of white. I did some pencil scribble things because that was in the process that was in the art course. And then, even though it's a boiling hot day when I'm doing this, I was a bit impatient with the layers drying, so got the old hairdryer out. And then I went in with some of this orange paint. I really love this orange colour, and I've used it in another abstract piece that I did. And it was actually one of the colours that I bought a bigger tube of while I was in the range buying some art supplies up. I noticed as I was doing this that the orange is quite translucent, and when I'm putting it over these darker, well, even this lighter bluish colour, it kind of goes green in the areas where it's really thin, so I end up having to do quite a lot of layers. It works better over the top of when I've got like some thicker white elements in, but where I'm like trying to blend it out and make it foggy, as Celia says in the course, it just looks a bit of a dirty mess. So yeah, I end up building up quite a lot of layers. I really like using this quite limited palette. In the end, in this one, I just use orange, white, and that turquoisey colour that I've mixed together, and I think it works really well. The day I painted this was actually such a lovely day. It was a Friday. My mum had the day off work. She doesn't work Fridays anyway, but we've both been looking after my nephew. I do Mondays to Thursdays, she does Fridays, so for us both to be off our family and work duties on the same day was nice. And we went for a little walk in the village, went to the post box. I've got a wedding coming up in August, so I went and posted the RSVP and then came back, and mum was doing a crochet and I was doing my art. We were both enjoying the weather, and my auntie came up because she was visiting my granddad in the care home nearby, and yeah, it was really lovely. And my dress that I had ordered for the wedding that's in August arrived, and it's lovely, it fit. And I don't generally like buying clothes online. I feel like a bit of a grandma when I say this, like I don't do online for clothes, but I just like to feel the material, see the quality, try it on, and I can't be arsed with the faff of taking things back to the shop or like posting them and all of that. So I like to buy stuff in person, but we recently went on a little trip down to Brighton to get a couple of bits, and there was nothing in the shops either. So I saw Billy Fairs actually wearing this dress online, and I was like, I love that. And one of the subsequent pieces of art that I did on the same day ended up being inspired by the colour palette that was in the dress. It's basically like this. It's like an abstract art piece in a dress, and it's really beautiful and it fits nicely, and I'm really chuffed. It was one of those dresses that it says it's like from a size 8 to a 12, so I was a bit nervous about whether it would fit, because that's quite a range, but it does just about fit, so I'm really pleased with that. But yeah, so I tried that on and then carried on painting, and my dad was about and we had ice lollies, and it was just a really lovely day. I really enjoyed spending the day switching off and painting, and it was really nice. I wasn't too worried about the outcome because it is an abstract piece. There's not much method to the madness going on in this piece. I found watching some abstract artists while they're painting, I kind of wonder, how do they know when they made a mistake, and why are they tweaking the bits that they are? And I can't understand why they choose to add details where they did, or why they covered up areas. But having created a couple of pieces now and doing the art course, I'm starting to understand it a little bit more. It's not like I have a vision in my head of how the finished outcome should look. I see the pieces coming together and I adjust it based on what I think looks right or wrong. It's such an experimental process and really hard to know when to add more and when less is more, but I guess that's a decision that's down to me and no one can really tell me I'm wrong. I've seen super busy abstract artwork and more minimalist abstract pieces, and they all look great because they're not supposed to look exactly like a particular thing. No one can say, we got that bit wrong. I think that's why I've been drawn to creating some abstract artwork recently. I have the freedom to create without too much fear of messing it up, and it's an opportunity to play with colours, which I love. Also, I find myself heavily influenced by art I see online, and when creating cute art pieces or landscape art, it's easy to fall into the style of the art that you're influenced by, and harder to create unique work. But with abstract art, I feel like there's no two paintings that are ever going to look the same. In fact, most will look vastly different as it's so loose and expressive. I might try to recreate the paint dripping technique like Pollock, or the heavier dragging technique like Richter, but the colours I use and the different tools I have to hand will make anything I create look very different to their art. There are elements of each layer of this piece that I really like and then end up messing up by trying to make things look too similar to other bits, and end up just making a bit of a brown mess and then covering it up and working into it. It's quite a lot of layers and fixing things that go into this. The white splatter has come from a spray bottle that I've filled with a couple of squirts of white paint and some water. It's quite hard to control where the splatter goes, and I don't know how it's going to come out. It seems to have got a bit stuck in the bottle as well, so I'm not sure how well it's working. I think you can get the same effect really by getting a paintbrush loaded with a bunch of wet paint and knocking it against another paintbrush. That is quite unpredictable in how that comes out as well, and to be honest, a lot of it ends up flicking back on yourself. But I like how those white dots add extra texture to the background and then also end up weaving between the different layers of colour that I'm adding in. As I'm painting this, I'm thinking it looks like fish in the most beautiful tropical sea but kind of like it's reminding me of koi carp. Well, that's the fish I think of anyway. I showed my auntie and she was like, oh, it's like goldfish swimming. I was like, yeah, I kind of thought koi carp. I guess with koi carp there would be a bit more brown and darker colours mixed in as well, but I thought I would call this koi carp in a hurry. I think in the end I'm just going to call it Abstract 01 because I cannot be thinking of names for every single piece of art that I create, especially when it's art like this that's like, what even is that? There's no intention behind it, there's no inspiration for it other than the colour palette, and I'm just letting it become whatever it becomes. So it's not an expression of my feelings. That's what I really struggle with when I see artists like saying it's an expression of their emotions and stuff. I look at a piece and I can't go, well, that looks like they were thinking about this thing. I can't see it, but I enjoyed making this anyway. I'm trying to use every ounce of that paint that I've got going on there. I hate waste and I'm super stingy, so I'm really trying to use up everything I've got, but also I want to cover up the more translucent areas, the areas that look a bit more browny, and as it's drying it dries darker and a little bit more translucent, so brighten it up, add in extra layers and getting all of the paint off my paintbrush. Tried using oil pastels as it's something that Celia uses in the course. I don't think it works so well in this piece. I think because it's like a bigger tool and this is a smaller piece, it doesn't look right. and every time I have tried to peel off tape from paper, it has ripped. And this time, with a bit of extra heat on a hot day, it worked and there was no rip, so I'm buzzing about that. And that's it, it's completed. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing me paint this little abstract art piece. I love this colour palette so much, so prepare to see some more artwork using these colours.